Hey, hi. What if I told you the story is about a batter who didn't just score runs? He bent the game to his will. What if I told you this innings came against one of the fiercest teams in world cricket, under pressure, in impossible conditions, with an entire nation watching and hoping? And what if I told you that by the end of this episode, you will know why this day, this innings, and this birthday still feel magical? Don't guess yet. Let me take you there first. The venue was Sharjah. The year was 1998, and the India was facing Australia, a side known for aggression, skills, and domination. The Australians had put a massive total 284 for 7. Now, in today's game, the target like that may seem chaseable, but back then this was a mountain, and India's challenge was even more complicated. It wasn't just about winning the game, it was about qualifying for the final. So the equation wasn't simple. The pressure wasn't ordinary. This was a kind of night where even the best could falter. But no one man walked in with a different idea. He wasn't the tallest player on the field, he wasn't the loudest either. But when he batted, the noise around him disappeared. Because the bat did all the talking, there was a balance in his stance, there was a certainty in his footwork, there was a timing in his stroke play that felt at most unfair. Every bowler has faced talent batters, but very few bowlers have experienced that terrifying feeling, the feeling that no matter what they try, this man has already thought one step ahead. That night, Australia learned exactly what that feeling was. The innings begins with purpose, not wild aggressions, not panic, purpose. Every run mattered and every boundary mattered. Every decision mattered. The bowler kept coming, the field kept shifting, the pressure kept building, but this batter kept unanswering. A drive through covers, a punch off the back foot, a pull shot that carried authority, a flick that raced away before the fielders could even react. It wasn't just batting, it was just control disguised as an attack. And then the desert itself stepped into the story. Out of nowhere, the skies changed. The air thickened, the storm interrupted play. It was surreal. Dust everywhere, crowd waiting, the player of the field. The momentum hanging in the balance for many batters, such a interruptions breaks rhythms, it breaks focus, it changes everything. But for this man, it was almost like the storm had only added to his power. When play resumed, something had shifted. He no longer looked like a batter trying to keep India alive. He looked like a force of nature. Now think about the opposition for a second. This was not a weak attack. This was Australia. And among them was a spinner considered one of the greatest the game has ever seen. The magician with the ball, a bowler could dominate the best. But on that night, even he was challenged, attacked, and made to look ordinary. This batter danced down the pitch. Appears drawn themselves himself. The fast bowlers weren't spared either. Anything short was punished. Anything overpitched was driven. Anything loose up disappeared. You couldn't sense it in the commentary. You could sense it in the crowd. You could sense it in the body language of Australia. They weren't just defending around the runs anymore. They were witnessing something larger than a chase. They were witnessing an innings that would become a folklore. The scoreboard moved, the tension rose, and this man kept going. He passed the 50, then he moved beyond it, then into the 90s, and then into the realms where pressures turns ordinary players into survivors. But turns great players into the legends. He finally made 143 runs of 131 balls. Let that sink in. 150 and 143 against Australia in Saja under qualification pressures after the storm interruptions with the timing, courage, and genius woven into the very every stroke. India did not officially win the match, but his innings achieved what was needed. It carried India into the final, and then everyone knew they had seen something unforgettable. But here's what the story becomes even more special because this was not the end. Just 2 days later, there was a final, same opposition, same pressure, and same expectations, and the same batter walked out again. Now imagine this, you have already played one of the greatest innings of your life. The world is talking about you. The bowlers were or desperate for revenge. The stage is even bigger and yet he delivered again. Why was that final so special? Because it happened on his birthday. Yes, the man who had already shaken the cricket world with 143 came back in the final on his birthday and scored another unforgettable 100. Not many players can own a tournament. Not many players can hunt a bowling attack twice in a week. And not many players can turn their birthday into the chapter of sporting mythology. So who am I talking about? The batter who made 143 in the desert. The man who turned the storm into the symbol. The genius who faced Australia and the made impossible feel inevitable. The boy under who became the heartbeat of a nation. He was born on April 24, 1973, and his name is Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. Yes, this is the story of Sachin Tendulkar's 143 in Sharjah, the famous Desert Storm innings. An innings that was more than a numbers, more than a boundaries, and more than the qualification. It was a reminder of what true greatness looks like. So today we celebrate his birthday. We don't just remember a cricket, we remember a feeling, the feeling that as long as he was at the breeze woke us alive, the feeling that cricket could become poetry, the feeling that as a single innings could like forever. Happy birthday, Sir Sachin Tendulkar, and thank you for your storm. And this remembrance keeps us alive always from the 90s kids. Sachin, Sachin. Sachin, Sachin. Let's make the magic words to the grounds and the audience in front of the televisions on 90s kids. So this magic moment has happened in my school days when I was attending my examination. I was preparing for my examination. This is make me like inimitable sources when the televisions was running over there. Sachin Tendulkar was got a prize. These scenarios have been stopped. Even now it becomes a more invitable positions when you're seeing the matches again and again in the highlighter. Once again, happy birthday, Sachin Tendulkar.